The conference room stretched wide across the space station. Glass walls showed the stars beyond. Inside, creatures from 47 different worlds sat in their seats. Some looked like insects. Others glowed with strange light. A few existed in ways that human eyes could barely understand. Dr. Lisa Morgan stood at the front. She was nervous but did not show it. Her job was simple. She had to explain Earth and its people to these aliens. She had to make them understand that humans deserved a place in the Galactic Council. Behind her, a screen showed pictures of Earth animals: bears, wolves, sharks. She pointed to each one as she spoke. These are predators from our world. They hunt other animals for food. Humans also evolved as hunters. We ate meat. We used tools to catch our prey. This shaped how we think and act. An alien in the front row made a sound. It had 6 eyes and skin that rippled like water. The translator box on the wall turned its words into English. Your teeth are small. Your claws do not exist. You run slowly compared to real hunters. Earth never made true predators. We have studied your world. It is a garden planet. Peaceful, safe. You are plant eaters who sometimes ate meat. Nothing more. Lisa felt anger rise in her chest but pushed it down. She had expected this. The aliens had scanned Earth 20 years ago. They found a world where the big predators were mostly gone, extinct or nearly so. They saw deer and rabbits and birds. They saw humans living in cities buying food from stores. They did not see the hunters humans used to be. Ambassador Chen Wei sat with the human group. He watched the alien council members whisper to each other. Some looked curious. Most looked doubtful. A few looked like they had already decided to vote no to Chen knew the real problem. It was not about teeth or claws. It was about respect. The aliens thought humans were weak, soft, too kind to survive in a galaxy where strength mattered. They thought Earth was a world without danger, so humans had never learned to be dangerous. They were wrong, but Chen did not know how to prove it. That evening, the human team met in a small room with windows facing the stars. Jake Sullivan poured himself a drink. He was a soldier, tall and quiet with scars on his hands from years of training. Rachel Kim sat across from him reading data on her tablet. Felix Grant leaned against the wall thinking hard. They are not completely wrong. Rachel said it quietly like she was afraid to admit it. I have been reading their classification system. They measure predators by certain body features. Muscle type, brain structure, hunting behavior. By their rules, humans fall somewhere in the middle. Not pure predators, not pure prey. Something unclear. Jake made a rough sound in his throat. Tell that to a lion. Or a crocodile. Earth has predators. We know because they used to eat us had predators. Lisa corrected him. Most of the big ones died out thousands of years ago. When the aliens came to scan our planet, they arrived during a time when Earth looked peaceful. They saw what was left, not what used to be. Chen set down his cup. The glass made a small sound on the table. The politics worry me more than the science. 3 alien governments have already filed complaints about us joining. They say that species without predator experience are too weak for the council. They say we will not make hard choices when we need to. What does that mean? Jake asked. It means they think we are prey animals. Rachel was still reading her tablet. They think we will always try to talk instead of fight. Always compromise instead of standing firm. They think Earth made us soft because we never had to be hard. Felix spoke up from the wall. They have never studied human history, have they? We had plenty of practice being hard. The room fell quiet. Everyone knew what Felix meant. Wars, conquests, humans fighting humans for thousands of years. But that was not the kind of predator behavior the aliens were looking for. The next morning, Chen got an urgent message. He had to come to the council chambers immediately. Something had happened. He arrived to find chaos. Aliens grouped together talking in loud voices. Their translator boxes made a mess of overlapping sounds. At the center of the room, a hologram showed Earth spinning slowly. Red warning lights blinked around it. The High Administrator floated near the display. It was a being made of energy, contained in a box of magnetic fields. Its voice came from speakers mounted in the ceiling. Ambassador Chen, we have a situation. The Threat Assessment Network finished its scan of your world last night. The results are not normal. Chen walked closer to the hologram. He saw the warning lights, saw the codes flashing in languages he could not read. What kind of not normal? The system has flagged your entire planet. Not one species. Not one region, everything. Your whole world has been marked as Apex Category 9. The room went completely silent. Chen knew enough about the alien classification system to understand the problem. The scale went from Category 1 to Category 8. Category 8 was for the most dangerous pack hunters in the galaxy, creatures that coordinated perfectly, that never stopped hunting, that could not be escaped. Category 9 did not exist. The scale stopped at 8 because nothing worse had ever been found. There must be a mistake. An insect-like alien spoke from across the room. Its voice clicked and buzzed. The threat assessment network has worked perfectly for 6,000 years. It does not make errors. We thought the same thing. The administrator's energy field flickered. We ran diagnostics 17 times. The system works correctly. It has simply found something on Earth that goes beyond our categories. Something we have never seen before. Chen stared at the hologram of Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds drifting across the surface. It looked peaceful, beautiful. How could it possibly register as the most dangerous thing in the galaxy? What exactly is Category 9? He asked. The administrator was quiet for a moment. Category 9 is what the system creates when it finds an apex predator that surpasses all known parameters. A super predator, something that cannot be classified by normal standards because it breaks all the rules. An alien made of crystal, pulsed with red light. This is impossible. We have seen Earth's creatures. They are normal, ordinary. The humans themselves are barely predators at all. How can the system flag them as super predators? That is what we need to find out. The administrator turned its attention to Chen. Ambassador, we are forming an emergency research team. Human scientists will work with our best xenobiologists. We need to understand what the system detected. We need to know if the threat is real. Chen felt cold despite the warm air in the chamber. And if the threat is real, what then? Then we will have to decide if humanity can be trusted. The administrator's voice was grave. Because if Earth really is an apex world, if humans really are Category 9 predators, then you are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered, and the Council will have to choose between accepting you as allies or containing you as threats. The hologram of Earth kept spinning. Peaceful and blue and green. Chen looked at it and wondered what the machines had seen that the aliens had missed. What made his homeworld so dangerous that it broke the classification system? Whatever it was, they were about to find out. And Chen suspected that once they knew, everything would change. For humanity, for the Council, for everyone. The question was whether that change would bring acceptance or rejection, alliance or isolation, trust or fear. Chen did not know the answer. But he knew one thing for certain. The aliens had argued that Earth never bred predators. Now they were terrified that it had bred nothing but. The research team gathered in a large laboratory on the station. Dr. Lisa Morgan looked around at her new colleagues. They came from 7 different species. Each one brought different eyes and different minds to the problem. The team leader was Dr. Kethis. He was Vrax, with 6 eyes arranged in a circle on his face. His skin rippled and changed colors when he thought hard. Right now it showed patterns that meant doubt mixed with curiosity. We will be systematic. Kethis spoke through his translator. The Threat Assessment Network examines 13 different factors: hunting ability, territory behavior, tool use, social coordination, environmental adaptation, and 8 others. We will check each one. We will find where the error exists. Lisa noticed he said error, not anomaly. The Vrax scientist expected to find a mistake. He did not believe Earth could really be Category 9. The team worked for 7 days straight. They studied everything on Earth: bacteria in the soil, fish in the oceans, birds in the sky, mammals in the forest. They ran tests on coral reefs and rainforests and deserts. Every analysis came back the same, normal, within expected range. Category 4 garden world. Nothing special, except for one thing. Rachel Kim made the discovery on the 7th night. She had been running pattern analysis on predator behavior. The computer kept flagging one species over and over. Not bears, not sharks, not wolves or tigers or any of the animals with sharp teeth and claws. Humans. The system kept marking humans as apex predators. She called the team together at midnight station time. They gathered around her display, tired but alert. The apex predator indicator triggers on one species. Rachel pointed at the screen. Not any of our expected predators. It flags humanity. And not just as apex. It registers us as something beyond the scale. Category 9, super predator. Kethis moved closer to the screen. His skin rippled with colors that showed shock. This cannot be correct. Humans lack all physical adaptations for predation. No claws, no fangs, no venom, weak bite force, average speed, below average strength for your size. By what measure does the system classify you as dangerous? That is what we need to figure out. Lisa felt a strange mix of pride and worry. Something about humans scared the machines, but what? Felix Grant spent the next 2 days buried in human evolutionary data. He barely slept, barely ate. When he finally called another meeting, he looked exhausted but excited. I found it. He stood in front of the team with shaking hands. What makes us dangerous? It is not our teeth, not our strength. It is our endurance. He showed them a video of a human running. The person ran for hours, miles and miles without stopping. Then he showed videos of prey animals, deer, antelope. They could sprint fast but then had to rest. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We do not chase prey at high speed. We follow it. We track it for hours, days if needed. We wound it with thrown weapons and then follow the blood trail. The animal runs, rests, runs again. Eventually it collapses from exhaustion. Then we kill it. No other species on Earth can match our endurance over long distances. A Karathi scientist clicked its mandibles. This behavior exists in other species. Several galactic civilizations evolved from persistence hunters. Felix nodded quickly. But there is more. Combined with our tool use, our social coordination, our ability to survive in any environment, the threat assessment network is not looking at these things separately. It analyzes them together. As a package, he brought up a map of Earth. Red marks showed where humans had spread. Every continent, every climate, Arctic ice, tropical heat, desert, mountain, ocean islands, everywhere. Humans colonized the entire planet. Every environment type. And everywhere we went, large animals went extinct. Mammoths, giant sloths, cave bears, huge birds. All gone within thousands of years of human arrival. Kethis had gone very still. His skin showed no colors at all. You are suggesting the extinctions were not coincidence. I am suggesting that humans are what happens when persistence hunters develop big brains. We did not just hunt prey. We hunted it until nothing was left. Not from cruelty. From efficiency. We were too good at it. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Lisa broke the silence. There is another factor. Our tools. Human innovation has always focused on 3 things. Getting food. Defending territory. Competing for resources. Hunting and warfare. Every major technology we developed started with one of these. She pulled up a timeline on the main screen. It showed thousands of years of human history. Stone knives for cutting meat. Fire for cooking and safety. Spears for hunting at distance. Bows and arrows. Traps. Nets. Each invention made humans better killers. But the pattern did not stop with hunting tools. It continued through all of human development. We invented metalworking to make better weapons. We developed chemistry through explosives. We unlocked nuclear physics during a world war. Even our space program came from military rockets. We did not reach for the stars from curiosity alone. We wanted the high ground. A Thessian delegate made of living crystal pulsed with alarm. You describe a species that turns everything into weapons. Jake Sullivan stood up from his seat. His voice was calm but firm. With respect, I would say it differently. We are survivors. Yes, we make weapons, we had to. For most of our history, everything wanted to eat us, or take our food, or kill our families. We learned to fight back. We learned to win, but that is exactly what concerns us. Kethis turned to face Jake. You learned to fight, you learned to win, and you never stopped learning. The weapons became more efficient, more deadly. You went from stone spears to nuclear bombs in 10,000 years. What will you create in the next 10,000? Jake met the Vrax scientist's multiple eyes. Whatever we need to protect ourselves, same as any species would. That night, Kethis asked to meet privately with the human researchers. They gathered in a small room with windows showing the nebula outside. I have been running additional analysis. Kethis spoke quietly, looking at cognitive patterns, brain function. What I found troubles me. He displayed 2 brain scans, one human, one Vrax. Colored regions showed activity in different areas. This is a human brain at rest. Notice the activity in threat assessment regions. Pattern recognition. Strategic planning. Now compared to my species, the differences were obvious. Human brains showed more activity in areas related to detecting danger. Rachel leaned forward. Our threat systems are more active. Even when we are resting, always active, Kethis corrected. Human brains never stop looking for threats. Even in safe places, even during sleep, your species maintains constant readiness for violence. This exceeds anything we have seen in known predator species. That is just normal human thinking. Felix frowned. We look for patterns. We plan ahead. That is how we survived exactly. Kethis' skin showed deep concern. You survived by never relaxing. By treating everything as dangerous until proven safe. Do you know what the Threat Assessment Network calls a species that never stops hunting? That never stops preparing for conflict? The humans waited. A super predator. Category 9. Not because you are stronger or faster, because you never stop. You never quit. You never give up the hunt. That persistence that lets you chase prey for days, you apply it to everything. Problems, goals, enemies. Once you decide something is a threat, you pursue it until it no longer exists. Lisa felt cold. Is that really so unusual? Yes, Kethis turned all 6 eyes to her. Most predators give up if prey escapes. The energy cost is too high. But humans, you never stop. You track wounded prey for days. You hold grudges for years. You remember threats across generations. This makes you uniquely dangerous. Not what you can do in one fight. What you will do over time. You are the predator that never gives up. The research findings went to the full Galactic Council. The meeting lasted 3 days. Representatives from every member world attended. They filled the massive chamber with sounds and colors and strange forms. At the center of the room, Earth spun slowly in holographic form. The red Category 9 warning pulsed around it like a heartbeat. Everyone could see it. Everyone understood what it meant. The debate began immediately. Some aliens wanted to quarantine Earth, keep humans away from the rest of the galaxy. Others wanted to accept humanity but watch them closely. A few suggested rejecting the membership application completely. Ambassador Chen stood to defend his species. His voice carried across the chamber through translator systems. We do not deny our nature. Yes, we evolved as hunters. Yes, we developed through conflict. But we also evolved cooperation, empathy, culture, art, music, philosophy. The same traits that make us dangerous also make us choose peace. We have the capacity for violence. We also have the wisdom to avoid it. Avrak's military commander rose. Its skin showed patterns of strong emotion. The ambassador speaks of choice. But the Threat Assessment Network does not measure intentions. It measures ability. Humans have the ability for organized violence on a massive scale. Should we trust that they will simply choose not to use it? Jake Sullivan asked permission to speak. The High Administrator allowed it. I am a soldier. Jake kept his voice steady. I trained for violence. I learn efficient ways to fight, to kill if necessary, but I also learn restraint, control. Being able to do something is not the same as doing it. He looked around the room at all the different species. You are afraid of what we might do. I understand, but think about what we have already chosen not to do. We invented nuclear weapons. We could have destroyed ourselves. We did not. We created biological weapons. We banned them. We have had the power to end our world for decades. We are still here. A crystalline Thessian delegate pulsed with uncertain light. That proves only that you did not destroy yourselves. It does not prove you will not harm others. The Thessian requested access to human historical records. Chen granted permission. He had no choice. Refusing would look like hiding something. The council spent 2 days reviewing human history. They saw wars, genocides, slavery, environmental destruction, all the worst things humans had done to each other and to their world. The human delegation waited in tense silence. This could end everything. Finally, the Thessian spoke again. We have reviewed your history. It is violent. Species-wide conflicts, mass death, destruction. Everything we fear about Category 9 predators appears in your records. Chen felt his hopes sink, but the Thessian was not finished. Yet we also see something else. Patterns of correction. Humans commit terrible acts. Then other humans create laws to prevent those acts in the future. You had slavery. You abolished it. You destroyed your environment. You created conservation movements. You fight wars. Then you form alliances to prevent future wars. Your species battles against its own worst nature. Another delegate spoke up. This being was made of gas contained in a pressure suit. This behavior is unusual. Most predator species control their violence through instinct, or they fail to control it. Humans seem to use conscious choice to override natural responses. Can this last? Can you maintain control forever? Dr. Lisa Morgan stood. That is the real question. Can we trust ourselves? I think the answer lies in understanding we are not just predators. We are also prey. For most of our evolution, we were not dominant. We were hunted, eaten, killed by bigger, stronger animals. We remember being vulnerable. That memory shapes our ethics. The chamber grew quiet. Delegates considered this new perspective. On the third day, a Karathi delegation proposed a compromise. Instead of accepting or rejecting humanity completely, they suggested a trial period, temporary membership with oversight and regular evaluations. This sparked fresh debate. Some saw it as reasonable caution. Others viewed it as discrimination based on species rather than individual behavior. Dr. Kethis stood to speak. The Vrak scientist's presence surprised everyone, especially the humans. He had been skeptical from the start. I have worked closely with human researchers. I have watched how they think, how they respond to difficult information. What I found does not remove my concerns, but it suggests a path forward. His skin rippled with careful colors. Humans are apex predators. The evidence is clear. But they are also something else. They are a species that creates rules to limit their own behavior. They study their violence and work actively to reduce it. This is rare, perhaps unique in the galaxy. Kethis paused. I propose a different approach. Not trial membership with restrictions. Full membership with voluntary human commitment to transparency. Let them prove their claims about choosing peace. Let us observe how they handle power when they have it. The High Administrator's energy field flickered with surprise. You propose we accept them fully, despite the Category 9 classification? I propose we acknowledge our classification system is incomplete. It measures capacity for violence but not capacity for self-control. Humans represent something new, not super predators who cannot control themselves. Conscious predators who know what they are and choose to be better. The debate continued through the night. Arguments flew back and forth. Some delegates remained convinced humans were too dangerous. Others began to see Kethis's point. Finally, the High Administrator called for a vote. Each of the 47 member civilizations would decide. Humanity needed approval from 2/3 of them to join the council. The voting began. Chen kept count on his tablet. The numbers split almost evenly at first. 5 approvals, 5 rejections, 10 total, then 12, 14. The count climbed slowly. When the Vrak's vote came, Kethis delivered it personally. After extensive research and consideration, the Vrak's delegation votes to approve human membership. We believe the risk is balanced by potential benefit. Humanity has shown awareness of their nature and commitment to ethical behavior. The voting continued. Some speeches were long. Others were brief. As they neared the final votes, Chen's count showed them at exactly the minimum needed. 2/3 majority. One more rejection would fail the application. The Thessian delegate rose. Its crystal body pulsed with complex patterns. Our species has thought deeply about this question. We find humanity disturbing. Their violence capacity exceeds comfortable levels. Their history contains terrible acts. Yet we also see them capable of growth, of learning, of changing. The Thessian paused for a long moment. We vote to approve membership, with the understanding that humanity acknowledges their apex predator nature and commits to transparent governance of their aggressive responses. The chamber erupted. Some delegates showed approval through their various methods. Others registered protest. But the vote was final. Humanity had achieved the required 2/3 majority. They were in. Against all odds, despite being classified as the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered, humanity had been accepted into the Galactic Council. Chen stood at the podium to address the council. His voice was steady despite his racing heart. On behalf of humanity, I accept this decision and the responsibility it brings. We acknowledge what your systems identified. Yes, we are predators. Yes, we evolved through conflict. Yes, we have capacity for organized violence. But we are more than that. We are a species that learned to hunt together, and then chose to farm together. We made weapons and then made laws to control them. We conquered our world and then worked to protect it. He looked around the chamber. You asked us to prove ourselves. We accept that challenge. Not through submission, not through restrictions. Through transparency and partnership, we will show you that predator species can bring stability instead of chaos, that the traits making us dangerous can also make us valuable allies. The High Administrator's field pulsed. How will humanity demonstrate this commitment? Through action. Chen replied simply. We will contribute to Council security, our military knowledge, our strategic thinking, our ability to adapt to new threats, but under Council oversight, with complete openness. Let us be the predators you need, controlled by the ethics we have chosen. 3 months passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. The human delegation moved from temporary quarters to permanent facilities on the Council homeworld. Chen became Earth's official representative, working daily with aliens from across the galaxy. But acceptance did not mean trust. Many Council members still watched humanity with careful eyes. They remembered the Category 9 classification. They wondered when the predators would show their teeth. The first test came sooner than expected. A distress signal reached the Council from a research station on the edge of mapped space. Scientists from 4 different species were trapped there. The planet they were studying had become unstable. Volcanic eruptions, toxic gas. The evacuation window was closing fast. The Council military forces prepared a rescue mission. But they faced a problem. The planet's conditions were beyond normal operational parameters. High gravity, extreme heat, unpredictable seismic activity. Most Council species could not survive there long enough to complete a rescue. Jake Sullivan reviewed the mission data with his team. The conditions were brutal, dangerous, possibly fatal, but humans had trained for environments like this. Extreme conditions were what they did best. He went to Chen with a proposal. Let us lead the rescue. Human soldiers can handle those conditions better than most species. We have the endurance, the adaptability. This is what we trained for. Chen considered carefully. This could prove humanity's value to the Council, or it could confirm their worst fears about human recklessness. Either way, scientists were dying while they debated. He approved the mission. The Council watched with mixture of hope and concern as human forces prepared. Jake assembled a team combining human persistence with Vrax coordination and Karathi navigation skills. It was the first true joint operation between humans and Council military. The mission launched within 6 hours. The rescue ship dropped into the planet's atmosphere through storms of ash and lightning. Sensors showed surface temperatures high enough to melt most metals. The air was poison. The ground shook constantly. Jake led his team to the research station on foot. The vehicles could not handle the terrain. They walked through hell wearing protective suits, carrying the trapped scientists one by one back to the ship. It took 12 hours. 3 trips. 0 casualties. When they returned to Council space, the reception surprised them. Delegates from multiple species waited at the docking bay. The rescued scientists were there too, alive and grateful. The High Administrator addressed Jake and his team personally. You succeeded where we believed success was impossible. You demonstrated exactly what Ambassador Chen promised. Predator abilities applied to protection rather than harm. But not everyone was convinced. A faction of Council members still argued that humanity remained dangerous. They pointed to human military capabilities with suspicion. They worried about what would happen when human interests conflicted with Council interests. Dr. Lisa Morgan continued her research into predator psychology. She now had access to data from thousands of species across the galaxy. What she learned changed her understanding of humanity's place in the universe. She presented her findings at a scientific conference attended by xenobiologists from every Council world. We have been thinking about predation incorrectly, she spoke to the assembled scientists. We treated it as a threat to civilization. But what if it is actually a foundation? The traits that make predators dangerous also make them capable protectors. Aggression becomes defense. Hunting skills become rescue capabilities. Territory instinct becomes stewardship. Dr. Keithis added his perspective. The human case forced us to reconsider assumptions. We believed apex predators were threats to contain. Perhaps they are potential we have been wasting. Species with capability for violence but wisdom to control it may be exactly what the Council needs. The conference led to formal changes in the threat assessment network. The system received its first major update in 6,000 years. They created new classification categories designed for conscious predators like humanity. Category 9 no longer meant uncontrolled threat. It now identified species with apex capabilities combined with advanced ethical reasoning. Species that could be dangerous but chose not to be. 3 other civilizations were reassessed and received similar classifications. They had existed in the Council for centuries, but no one had recognized their predator nature because they controlled it so well. Humanity's revelation had opened eyes across the galaxy. Rachel Kim and Felix Grant returned to Earth with revolutionary insights about human evolution. Their work sparked new understanding in anthropology and psychology. Humanity began truly comprehending what they were and what that meant. Dr. Kethis visited Earth for the first time. He walked through human cities with careful observation, watched people living normal lives, working, loving, creating. He saw the same species the threat. Assessment network classified as super predators buying groceries and playing with children. He published a comprehensive study that became required reading in the Council. His conclusion was clear. Humanity represented not a threat to peace but a model for how dangerous species could transcend their origins. But challenges remained. Not all Council members accepted humanity fully. Some still pushed for restrictions, limitations on human military, monitoring of Earth's technology development. The debate continued in Council chambers and scientific conferences. A crisis emerged 6 months into membership. A territorial dispute between 2 Council species threatened to escalate into war. Both sides had legitimate grievances. Both refused to compromise. Violence seemed inevitable. The Council asked Chen to mediate. It was an unusual request. Normally, elder species handled such disputes. But the Council wanted to test human judgment. They wanted to see how predators approached conflict when they had the power to influence outcomes. Chen spent weeks meeting with both sides. He listened to their arguments, studied their histories, understood their needs. Then he proposed a solution that satisfied neither side completely, but gave both what they needed most. The disputed territory would become neutral ground, jointly administered, resources shared equally. Neither species got exclusive control, but both gained access to what they truly required: security, resources, recognition. The solution worked. War was avoided. Both species grudgingly accepted the compromise. More importantly, the Council saw how humanity handled power, not with dominance, not with force, with understanding and careful balance. The High Administrator spoke privately with Chen afterwards. You could have favored one side over the other, built alliances, gained political advantage. Why did you not? Chen considered the question. Because short-term advantage leads to long-term instability. We learned that lesson on Earth through centuries of conflict. The best outcome is not the one where we win. It is the one where everyone can live with the result. This is wisdom we did not expect from apex predators. The administrator's energy field pulsed thoughtfully. Perhaps that is the point. You have the strength to take what you want, but you choose fairness instead. Not fairness exactly. Chen smiled slightly. Survival. We learned that cooperation works better than domination, that today's enemy might be tomorrow's ally, that making space for others makes more space for us. Predator thinking, but long-term predator thinking. The months continued. Humanity settled into Council life. Human scientists contributed to research projects. Human engineers helped build new stations. Human soldiers joined peacekeeping forces. Slowly, the fears began to ease, but the Category 9 classification remained. It served as a reminder of what humanity was, what they could be if they chose. Every Council member knew that humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy by the numbers. They just also knew that danger could be channeled, controlled, applied to protection rather than destruction. Jake trained with Council military forces, teaching them human tactics, endurance running, persistence tracking, strategic patience. The aliens learned that predator skills transferred well to rescue operations and defensive warfare. Lisa worked with xenobiologists to understand aggression across species. They discovered that many Council members had predator ancestry, but had forgotten or suppressed it. Humanity's openness about their nature encouraged others to examine their own. 1 year after joining, humanity had proven something important. Being apex predators did not define them. Their capacity for violence existed alongside capacity for creation. their hunting instincts balanced by ethical reasoning, their aggressive impulses channeled into protective behaviors. They were predators who had chosen to use their strength for building rather than destroying, their coordination skills for cooperation rather than conquest, their persistence for long-term goals rather than short-term dominance. The galaxy was learning what humans had always known. Being dangerous was not the same as being destructive. Having capacity for violence was not the same as choosing violence. And perhaps most important, predators could learn to hunt for something better than prey. 2 years passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. What began as controversial acceptance had transformed into something else. Not just tolerance. Genuine partnership. The change showed in small ways at first. Council members who once avoided humans now worked beside them. Species that had voted against human membership now requested human advisors. The Category 9 classification remained, but its meaning had shifted. From warning to recognition. Chen stood in his office looking out at the Council homeworld. 2 years ago, he had fought for humanity's right to be here. Now they were here and the galaxy had changed because of it. A message arrived from the High Administrator. Emergency Council session. All representatives required. Chen felt a familiar tension. Emergency sessions usually meant crisis. He arrived at the chamber to find it already full. The atmosphere felt different from previous emergencies. Not panic, not fear. Something else. Anticipation, maybe. The High Administrator's energy field pulsed in unusual patterns. We have received first contact from a new civilization, the Zethians. They exist in a neighboring spiral arm. Initial communication has been peaceful, but our cultural analysis raises concerns. A hologram appeared showing a species that looked vaguely reptilian, but with features no Earth creature possessed. Beautiful in a strange way. Dangerous looking. The Zethians are apex predators, the Administrator continued. Category 8 by our classifications. Their civilization developed through constant warfare. They respect only strength. Our diplomats have struggled to establish productive dialogue. They view most council species as weak. Prey Chen understood immediately why he was here. We need humanity to make contact. The Administrator said it plainly. The Zethians need to meet predators they respect. You are Category 9. They are Category 8. They will listen to you in ways they will not listen to us. A Vrax counselor spoke up. This is dangerous. Sending predators to meet predators. It could escalate into violence, or it could establish mutual respect. Chen replied. Predators understand each other. We speak the same language, even across species. Let us try. The Council approved the mission with mixed feelings. Some saw opportunity, others saw risk. All recognized they had few better options. Chen assembled a delegation. Jake Sullivan for military perspective. Lisa Morgan for scientific understanding. Rachel Kim for cultural analysis. Felix Grant for strategic thinking. All of them had been there from the beginning. All of them understood what humanity represented. The journey took 3 weeks. When they arrived in Zethian space, they were immediately surrounded by warships. Heavily armed. Obviously aggressive. The Zethians did not trust easily. The meeting took place on a neutral station. The Zethian delegation entered first. They moved like predators. Confident, alert, dangerous. Their leader was called Vexer, tall and covered in scales that seemed to shift color. Eyes that tracked every movement. Vexer looked at the humans with visible disdain. You are the great predators the Council fears? You look weak, small, fragile. Jake smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Looks can be misleading. We evolved hunting prey much larger and stronger than us. We learned to win through persistence, strategy, cooperation, not through raw strength. Vexer's eyes narrowed. You admit weakness, we admit understanding. Chen stepped forward. True predators know their own capabilities and limitations. We are not the strongest species. Not the fastest. But we are still here. Still expanding. Still thriving. That should tell you something. The Zethian leader studied them with new interest. What is your classification? Category 9, Lisa said it calmly. The Council's threat assessment network created a new category for us. We exceeded the existing scale. For the first time, Vexer showed surprise. His scales shifted through several colors. Impossible. You lack the physical traits. Physical traits are not everything. Rachel pulled up data on her display. May we show you something? She displayed human evolutionary history, persistence hunting, tool development, social coordination, environmental adaptation, the whole package that made humanity dangerous. Vexer watched in silence. When the presentation ended, he spoke quietly. "You hunt by never stopping, yes," Felix confirmed. "We pursue until the prey can run no more. It takes longer than a direct kill, but it always works eventually." The Zethian leader's demeanor changed. Not friendliness exactly, but respect. "This is predator behavior, I understand. Not strength, strategy. Tell me, why does the Council fear you?" "They fear our potential," Chen answered honestly. "We have capacity for violence on massive scales. Our history shows this clearly. But we also have capacity for choosing peace, for controlling our instincts, for using our predator skills to protect rather than harm." Vexer sat back in his chair. His scales showed thoughtful colors. "This is unusual. My species respects only strength. We conquer or are conquered. There is no middle way. That is one approach," Jake said carefully. "But consider this. Conquest requires constant fighting, constant resource drain, constant risk. Cooperation allows you to focus energy on growth instead of conflict, on creation instead of destruction. You speak of weakness disguised as wisdom." Vexer challenged. "We speak of efficiency," Lisa countered. "True predators waste no energy. Every action serves survival. Constant warfare wastes massive resources. Cooperation conserves them. Which is more predatory? Fighting everyone, or choosing battles carefully?" The Zethian leader went quiet. His scales shifted through colors that might have meant deep thought. The negotiations continued for 3 days. The humans did not try to soften their predator nature. Instead, they embraced it, spoke in terms Vexer understood: strength, strategy, survival. But they also showed him something new, that predators could choose when to hunt and when to cooperate. On the final day, Vexer made an announcement. "The Zethians will consider council membership, but we have conditions. We will work with humanity. Learn from them. If Category 9 predators can find value in this council, perhaps Category 8 predators can as well." When the human delegation returned to council space, they received a hero's welcome. They had accomplished what seemed impossible, made peaceful contact with aggressive predators, opened dialogue where others had failed. The High Administrator addressed the full council. "Humanity has demonstrated their value beyond question. They brought skills we lacked, perspective we needed. They proved that apex predators can be assets rather than threats. That danger channeled through wisdom becomes protection." Dr. Keithis stood to speak. 2 years ago, we feared humans. We saw Category 9 and thought only of threat. Now we understand. The classification was not warning. It was recognition. Recognition that some species transcend simple categories. The consciousness can override instinct. That predators can become protectors by choice. That evening, the core human team gathered in the observation lounge. The same place they had met 2 years ago when everything was uncertain. Now they looked out at the stars with different feelings: accomplishment, belonging, hope. Rachel raised her glass. "To understanding what we are, and choosing what we become," the others joined her toast. Humans and their alien friends together, acknowledging the strange journey that brought them here. Scientists had argued Earth never bred predators. The system had flagged the entire planet as apex. Both perspectives were true. Earth had bred predators, and then those predators had evolved into something more, something unprecedented: conscious apex predators who knew exactly what they were, who understood their capacity for violence, who chose every day to be better than their instincts demanded. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy, not the absence of predatory nature, but the presence of will strong enough to control it. The wisdom to know when to hunt and when to help. The understanding that being dangerous gave them responsibility to protect rather than harm. Chen looked out at the stars and thought about the future. More species would join the council. Some would be predators, some prey, some unclear mixture of both. Humanity would help guide them, show them that nature did not determine destiny, that conscious choice could overcome instinct. They were apex predators who had learned to hunt for justice instead of prey, for peace instead of conquest, for protection instead of domination. They had turned their most dangerous traits into their most valuable assets, and in the vast darkness between stars, that made all the difference. Because the galaxy needed protectors, needed species willing to stand between the weak and the strong, needed predators who chose to use their teeth to defend rather than devour. Humanity had found their place in the universe, not despite being apex predators. Because of it, they were exactly what they claimed to be, dangerous when necessary, peaceful by choice. Predators who had evolved beyond predation. The Category 9 classification would always remain, a reminder of what humanity could be if they chose violence. But it had become something else as well. A promise that the most dangerous species in the galaxy had chosen to be guardians instead of conquerors. That was worth more than any amount of raw strength. That was what would let them thrive among the stars. Not power, purpose, not domination, direction, not conquering the galaxy, protecting it. Humanity had finally found where they belonged. At the sharp end of civilization, ready to defend it, capable of terrible violence but committed to using that capacity only for protection. Apex predators who,